What's up everyone, Adam here from Cape Crawlers, and I broke my FCX24 already, but then we made it better, a lot better. Quick PSA before we get going. So if you watched my last video, you know that I made a series of false statements and ignorant claims about the FCX24. And I really want to acknowledge my audience, you the viewers, and the RC community at large, because instead of calling me out and verbally beating me down in the comments, most people took the time to educate me on what I said wrong and tell me why it was behaving the way it was. So I really appreciate that. And I want to apologize to the audience and the viewers because the goal of this channel is to educate and entertain. And I let you guys down on the first part of that. I rushed the video because I was excited to get it out, and I thought that my experience with the axial units would translate directly to the FMS model, which it did not. So I apologize for that, and I promise you guys that it will not happen again. The next unboxing video or product review video that you guys get from me will be the most well-informed, saturated content that you'll ever see. I promise you guys that. With that said, I have spent a lot of time educating myself on the FCX24. I still haven't read the manual, but what I did do is I consumed several hours of 2FMRC's content, which is fantastic, by the way. And I feel like I've got a much better handle on this thing now. I've also spent a lot more time kind of hands-on, researching it, playing with it, messing with it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at what I've done to it, kind of what happened to it during the last week since I've owned it, and what the plans are going forward. So let's take a look at kind of what happened to it in the last week, and then what I've also done for modifications to it, because we've done some upgrades. So let's take a closer look. Here is the upgraded Power Wagon. So first thing you probably notice is the big wheels and tires. So what I did is I put the RC four-wheel drive stamp steel beadlocks that I had for the Bronco, and I put the Little Guy Racing Parts Swamp Kings on here, vented with the soft microfoams. So I've got my typical wheel and tire setup, and it worked really good on this thing. I think it looks awesome. It looks mean, it looks beefy, it performs great. Gave it a real nice aggressive stance, so I think this was awesome. And once again, I gotta give a shout out to 2FMRC, because when you try to bolt these wheels up, the big wheel nut here is too big to fit inside. Well, the wheel nut fits inside the bolts for the beadlocks, but it's really difficult to tighten. I was having to use needle nose pliers to get in there, and it was a huge pain. So what I saw on his channel is he took the bearings, one of the SCX24 bearings, the little ones, and they fit right over the axle, and there's still plenty of thread left to put this wheel nut on. So shout out to him for that. Was a brilliant idea and made my life so much easier when I discovered that and put these back on here. So what else did I do? So look at the suspension. I looked at the frame mounting. I think I always do that to the SCX24s, and I wondered if it would work on this. And there's no bolt holes to do it, so I made my own. So what I ended up doing was just drilling holes in the nylon frame here where I felt like would be good mounting positions, and I mounted the shocks up to the frame. And you see you get much more articulation, just like you would get with the SCX24s. It works great. Ride height, pretty solid. Gave it a nice low kind of squatted stance. In the back, I found that it was still pretty jacked in the back. I had quite a rake. So what it is, I took the springs out of the rear shocks. Let me see that. Now it's got a nice level stance. It also, the shocks work better without the springs in this setup because they were very stiff. The stock springs are really stiff. So when it was sitting like that, and they were so stiff it was not articulating properly. So with the springs out, these shocks are able to articulate much more smoothly and go through full range and give me a lot more articulation there. So that made a huge difference. So I took this out, one of my favorite new crawling spots, and had an absolute blast with it. It was so much fun, and it worked so well. So I'll put up some run footage here shortly so you guys can check it out. But it just totally transformed it between the tires and the suspension setup. I was having an absolute blast. So I guess I should also say, to make this work, I was finding that the front wouldn't articulate, the axle wouldn't drop all the way. It couldn't articulate all the way because the servo wire is really short on these from the factory. So what I had to do was I took the ESC and I rotated it counterclockwise. Before it would sit kind of horizontally here with the servo plugging in on this side, the wire wrapping around the top. But because of that, it would stop the driver's side axle from dropping. So when I rotated the ESC, now I've got all the room for that to articulate, and the servo wire doesn't stop anything. So that's one thing that I had to do for this modification, and now I feel like it works really well. Also sorted out all of my reverse issues, discovered that that was 100% user error, and now as you can see, I've identified that these switches here are indeed your reverse function. So it was set with this switch down is set to the forward, pause, reverse. So that's why I had to double click the reverse, was because it was set for that. And that's a safety feature, or a precautionary feature, I should say, so that you don't burn things out if you're going from forward to reverse, especially in high gear when this thing's going really fast. So I, again, flipped that little switch up, and now it works just like how I'm accustomed to. It goes straight to reverse, nice and smooth, no issues, very happy now. These are also your drag brake settings. So these were, I didn't mess with these before, but again, I'm going to just flip these up. I'll play with these a little more just to see what kind of ideal settings they are. And what this does, it just gives you these, they're different range of settings for the drag brake. So I'm going to play with these a little bit more, but very cool feature. You've got these kind of customization options right here on these little auxiliary switches. So shout out to the community for helping me figure this out. I really appreciate it. And it has made the driving experience much more enjoyable now that I know that I have these options. So what else happened? So I stripped out the portal gears in the front. The passenger side front stripped out that first outing that I went out on. I don't know if it was, just the big grippy tires were too much, but those plastic gears just didn't last long. And I knew that was a risk, but it was still a bummer when it happened. But these guys took really good care of me. They sent me a brand new unit, a new replacement, a whole new truck, I should say. And that actually came with the metal portal gears. I was thrilled to see that because my intention was just to take the portal gears out of it and return the pretty much brand new vehicle rather than sending them my already fairly used one. But that one came with the metal portal gears, which is awesome. And for those of you, if you're getting one of these, I'm going to show you some indicators that you've got the metal gears. So the packaging. This was the box that my first one came in. If you remember, it has the sleeve design. So you've got the cardboard sleeve here. Box is in the middle. My replacement came with a more traditional box. You kind of open it up and then pull out the styrofoam package with the unit in it. So I think that's an indicator that you've got one of the newer generation ones that come with the metal upgrade. Another indicator is that the early units came with that free gift that I showed you guys. So mine came with the extra differential gear set. There was only a handful, not a handful, but the first batch of these units, they gave this free gift with them. My new replacement unit did not come with the free gift. So I think those are some indicators that you may or may not have the metal portal gears. And if you get one of these early ones, highly suggest ordering the metal gears right away because the plastic ones just don't hold up under any amount of stress that I can tell. So with that, let's look at the run footage of this thing out here with the upgrades on it, and then we'll circle back and I'll give you my updated thoughts on the FCX24. So what do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? I loved watching it move around and climb and crawl and articulate. It was so much fun driving this thing with the upgrades on it. It's a whole new beast, and just an absolute blast out there with this thing. So I'm even more satisfied with it now. I know that it has its shortcomings. You know, the body is still a pain point for me, taking the body off. I feel like the center of gravity is high, and the wheelbase doesn't necessarily match the proportions that it has. And you know, those are also some things that folks in the comments called out in the previous video. So there's some really good, valid opinions from the community, and I really appreciate that, and I share a lot of those sentiments. But with that said, I'm very much enjoying this thing. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I like it so much, and my son likes it so much, I ordered him a red one, so we're both going to have one. Similar situation to the Bronco when my son fell in love with it, and I had to get the JLU for a toy because he just wasn't going to let me have the Bronco. He's not going to let me have this unless I get him his own. So we're both going to have one, and you know, he just enjoys it, and I enjoy it too. So again, the more time I spend on it, the more I like it. I have ordered about $100 worth of Treel upgrades because Treel is really on the gas with getting the upgrades out for this thing. I've got the upgraded links, upper and lower links. I've got the portal covers. What else did I get? I got a couple other things too. A good batch of upgrades in this first round. And then I see that they've got metal axles coming out for it too, so I'll probably grab those. And we'll start upgrading this thing together. So maybe we'll do an FCX24 build series. I don't know. But in any case, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm having a lot of fun. So we're going to keep taking it out and flogging it. I just put the metal gears in it, so I'm going to do some more runs with it over the weekend. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm going to be less concerned about running it hard now that I've got the metal gears in it. So I'm really pumped to try that out. So that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I appreciate you again. Thanks for watching. Please let me know down in the comments what you think of the build so far and what I should do next. It's going to be fun to build this thing out, and I'm excited to take you guys with me. Also, since we'll have another stock one when my sons get here, we're going to start doing some head-to-head comparisons with the FCX24. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. As always, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and we'll see you in the next video.